Pierce is the last car into position there at the back. You can see 5-second board is shown, and we're all set then for 20 minutes of racing around the Silverstone National Circuit for the BMW Car Club Racing Championship. Lights out, away they go, and it's a pretty even start for the two front row men, and that is Niall Bradley and Rick Kerry then as they head down towards the first corner. But we've got some quick guys from the back that we need to watch, Lee Piercy and Brad Sheehan, so let's see what they can do during the course of this 20-minute race. It's a longish race, so they've got plenty of time to try and make something work. Field streaming past our camera point at Maggots and turning their way through Beckett's now, but it is Niall Bradley leading, Rick Kerry second, Mike Cook third, so as they were on the grid, Andy.
Yep, down the Wellington Straight then for the first time. Number 71 there, getting hung out to dry a bit on the outside line. That's Jordan Saywood's BMW Compact, but the leader's already down at Brooklands, and Rick Kerry is very much going after Niall Bradley here in the early stages, which we didn't really see from him in the earlier race. And as they come out towards the end of the lap, you can see the 37 car there, again in the midst of the action. Cavan Granger, that is, one of the midfielders in Class 6. Out of Luffield though, all cleanly through the end of lap number 1. And already a real battle going on at the front. That was Kerry, I think, trying to get up the inside of Sheehan as they went into Cobb's Corner. Not sure if he made it work, but there is a bit more intent here, isn't there, from Kerry in the early stages of this race?
You said Sheehan, I think you meant Niall Bradley, but Brad Sheehan got up to 18th at the end of lap 1, but Lee Piercy even better than that, up to 16th position. So they've, between them, made about half of the places already only on the first lap of the race. So that's an incredible start from those two drivers. We'll try and keep an eye on them as the rest of this race unfolds. But it's Niall Bradley leading, Rick Kerry second, Mike Cutt third, Mike Eustace fourth, and Wayne Lewis leading Class M2 in fifth. As we watch Gary Burstow there go up the inside of Kaz Singh. Well, Gary was ahead at the start of the lap, but Kaz Singh in his more powerful M1 car had possibly got ahead on the straight, and Burstow back under braking. That's for 6th and 7th position overall, but within the BMW Car Club Racing Championship, the points are scored based on your finishing position within your class rather than overall finishing position. And Jim Benson, by the way, number 59, up in 8th place at the end of lap 1, which is an excellent drive from the Class 6 driver.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? He's really picked his way nicely up the order. You are right, I did mean Niall Bradley at the front of the field. No sign of Brad Sheehan in this one as the leaders make their way up through Beckett's Corner. A bit of a challenge being made there by Kaz Singh in the orange number 3 car, but running very wide in front of them was the number 40, was that, of Sean Jackson, who has therefore lost a couple of positions as a result. Top 3 down through Brooklands, very close indeed. Mike Cutt coming back into this now in 3rd position as Kaz Singh again goes on the attack and almost loses it under braking down into Brooklands. He was never going to get the car stopped, and as a result hands the place straight back to Gary Burstow. These two in different classes, as you said, but producing quite a lot for us to talk about here in the early laps.
Yeah. By the way, Lee Piercy was up to 11th and Brad Sheehan 14th at the end of lap 2. We'll see if they've made up any more ground on this lap. I can see one car heading into the pit lane, though. It's the 80 car of Mike Eustace, who was up in the top 6, wasn't he? So Mike Eustace, who finished race 1 in 4th, he is out of the race, I'm afraid. There, though, is the battle for the lead. Niall Bradley 47, 2 Rick Kerry, 44 Mike Cutt, heading through Beckett's, out of Beckett's onto the Wellington Straight for the 4th time in this race already, and they've got the Wellington Straight to themselves for the moment.
Yes, and that won't last long though. They're only a couple of laps away probably from having some back markers to deal with. Rick Kerry now having to think more about defending than attacking, and that means that Niall Bradley is just making a bit of a break. The gap was just under half a second at the start of the lap. It's probably a fraction under 1 second now as they slide their way out of Luffield Corner. Now, can Mike Cutt find a way through? He's got a good run through Woodcote. He's trying to peek to the inside of Rick Kerry. This for 2nd position then as they drop down into Cobb's Corner. Cutt is late on the brakes, and Rick Kerry, to his credit, knew when he was beat there. There was no sense running side by side with Cutt through Cobb's. That was only going to delay both of them. It was better there just to let Mike Cutt go and try and follow him back up to the tail of the race leader.
Yeah, absolutely right. So Cutt up to 2nd, Kerry down to 3rd. They're about a second adrift, both of them, of Niall Bradley, who's not done the best lap of the race. That was actually Mike Cutt, a 101.87. Earlier on, it was Brad Sheehan, a 1:01.42 that got the lap record for the BMW Car Club Racing Championship. The back marker ahead of him is 1:23, Nick Ramsden in the invitation class car. And Mike Cutt gets past him because he keeps well out of the way, does Nick Ramsden. So good driving from him, and allowing the leaders to get through without any particular delay to complete their 5th lap now. And it's 7/10 between Bradley and Cutt. That time through, Cutt took 4/10 of a second out of Niall Bradley's lead. The 1-2-3 car that we're just looking at, by the way, has gone into the pit lane. There you can see it. So Nick Ramsden, I'm afraid, now out of the race.
Yeah, and I think he had some issues in the first race, didn't he? I'm pretty sure he was a retirement in that one too. So not been the best of days for him, unfortunately. Mike Cutt's day, though, I think is about to get an awful lot better because he's closing in pretty rapidly here on Niall Bradley. On the previous lap alone, he took a decent chunk out of the leader with a lap that was, quite a bit quicker than Niall Bradley. Got a couple of tenths back on him. He's closing in again, I'd say, on this one. So as they head down through the final few corners, only a car length or so in it now, and they've got traffic ahead. So Cutt has caught Bradley at just the right time, because Niall is already going to be feeling the pressure to get past the back markers without losing time. And now he's got the second place man right on his tail. They go either side of the first of the lapped cars there. One of the Cup cars, that might have been Sam Walton. And still Bradley ahead, but definitely feeling the heat now.
Black and white driving standards flagged to Cup class competitor Paul Laramie. So he has been more than likely transgressing track limits. So the leaders go through 36 hundredths of a second between them at the start of the lap. A dramatic moment when they went either side of the back marker on the way down to Copse Corner. Can Mike Cutt, who's won quite a few of these races in the past, can he make it through? He got just the 1 win, no, 2 wins last season, I beg your pardon, at Alton Park and at Snetterton. Can he make it his first win of the season here after Niall Bradley won in race 1? He's leading at the moment. He's just passing one of the Cup class competitors, Carl McMillan, now, and it's Carl McMillan that leads. No, it doesn't. It's David Morris that's leading the Cup class this time around. Carl McMillan won it in race 1. Here they go then into Copse Corner. 2 leaders, gap between them still very similar, about 32 hundredths of a second now. By the way, Jim Benson still leading Class 6, although he has now dropped outside the top 10.
Yes, he has. As the leaders come back down through Beckett's, that's not a good point to catch a back marker. The back marker is the number 9 of James Dalzell, and James could have stepped well out of the way there, but actually a lot of the quicker drivers say that's not really a good thing if the back marker starts deviating from the racing line. That is, though, what Niall Bradley is having to do now to defend the lead from Mike Cutt as they drop down through Brooklands again. The inside line keeps him ahead for now, but Mike Cutt is really starting to apply the pressure now. They've dropped Rick Kerry in amongst all of the back markers. He's now 3 seconds behind these two. Brad Sheehan up into 4th position, meanwhile, is 14 seconds back. So even with over half the race to go, I don't think he's going to catch them. Mike Cutt gets a good run there out of Woodcote, looks to the inside into Copse Corner. Is he late enough on the brakes? Yes, he is. Mike Cutt goes into the lead, but he's very slow on the exit, and that might allow Niall Bradley to come back at him.
Yep, Niall Bradley alongside him then. He's going to be on the outside for the sweep of Maggers, but then the inside for Beckett's, and yep, pretty much bonnet to bonnet as they go in. I think Cutt's just conceded the position there, though. He could see that Bradley was pretty committed, and it was better just to let him go through and possibly try and get the switch back on the exit, which is what he's done now. They're side by side again. They've got back markers ahead. I think that's the Ralph Kirk car up ahead, and Cutt's car has its nose in front, although as they turn into Brooklands, it's Bradley that gets back through. So fantastic racing. They are having a real good dice as they now lap the number 71 car of Jordan Saywood. Does he have a say in this? The answer is no. So it's Bradley from Cutt at the moment You briefly mentioned Brad Sheehan. He's done the best lap of the race now, 1:01.59, and is still lapping faster than the leaders.
Yeah, and actually he's lapping quite a bit faster now that they're delaying each other even further, so well, maybe don't count him out just yet. We'll wait and see. Out of Copse they go. That time, Niall Bradley managed to get over to the inside to defend, so he prevented Mike Cook from getting up the inside into Copse corner. And that means that they're single file on this occasion as they get to Beckett's corner. Niall Bradley just hooking the inside wheels well and truly over the curve. I don't know if they monitor track limits on the inside of the corners as well as the outside, but if they did, I think Bradley might get in a bit of hot water for that. Cook looks to the inside. They've got another slower car ahead, which I don't think has seen them, and that's the number 10 car there of Clive Watson, who still isn't really making life easy for the leaders. They do now get up the inside through Luffield corner, but that was just another slightly heart-stopping moment, and Mike Cook loses it. Mike Cook from second place too early on the throttle, perhaps on that tighter line, trying to get past the back marker. That can't have helped, and Mike Cook spins away second place.
And he spun away the lead in race 1, didn't he? So that's a couple of mistakes today for Mike Cook that have cost him really dear. And we'll see exactly where he feeds in all of this. He's gone across the line now, and he has dropped to 4th position. So Brad Sheehan has gone through to 3rd. He's a 1:01.59, and that time through he lapped 1.7 seconds faster than Rick Kerry. And he's about 6.5 seconds behind Rick Kerry, so with 9 minutes to go, could we get Brad Sheehan up to 2nd place in this race, or even win it?
Well, I was about to say before that all kicked off that he might not catch the leaders, but he could definitely catch Rick Kerry, so I guess the answer to whether he can finish 2nd is a definite maybe. But then it will kind of depend how quickly he gets past Rick Kerry as to whether he's able to get to the leaders. He was only actually 4/10 quicker than Kerry on the previous lap, although of course there will have been yellow flags at Luffield, so perhaps this lap is a bit more representative. Bradley goes through the race leader, does a 1 minute 1.8. Rick Kerry will go through, sorry, 1 minute 2.7 for leader, a 1 minute 3.1 for Kerry, and then Brad Sheehan, who's been in and amongst a bit of traffic on that lap, does a 1 minute 2.1, so a full second quicker than Kerry. Yeah, maybe 8 minutes to go. He could definitely get 2nd, couldn't he?
I think it's very much on the cards that he could get 2nd. There is Kerry in the 1 series, and momentarily in the background there we see Brad Sheehan as well. So he's hunting after Rick Kerry now. Kerry, who was classified 2nd in the opening race, the driver amongst the sort of top fastest 3 or 4 runners not to lead race 1. It might be a similar situation here because we've had Bradley and Cut trade the lead in the early part of the race. Cut's now thrown away his chances, I think. He's 18 seconds behind the leader now, and 9 seconds behind the confident. Problems for number 60, that's Carl McMillan, the winner of the Cup class in the earlier race. Looks like he's going to get going again, but not without losing time. So that gives David Morris a bit more of a comfort blanket out in front in the Cup class this time.
Yeah, I think that was up at Beckett's, wasn't it? So yellow flags were briefly out up there as the leaders go through to complete another lap. 7 minutes to go then, and Brad Sheehan is now 8 seconds off the lead and lapping 1.5 seconds a lap quicker last time than Niall Bradley. There you can see the relative gaps between the top 3. The white and green car is the leader. There he goes, Rick Kerry in 2nd, the white and blue number 2, and then the all-white number 28, Brad Sheehan, who's got to get past a few back markers on this lap, and he's going to catch them through the final sector. He might be lucky actually and get them coming off Luffield corner, which is altogether a nicer place to catch the slower cars because you can just drive straight past them down the pit straight. So yeah, I think he's going to be quicker than Kerry once again this time.
So 6.25 minutes or so of the race left to go. Kerry goes across the line, 1:04.27. Sheehan's a 1:02.02. So 2.2 seconds faster than Kerry that time. The gap between them down to 2.8 seconds now. There's, say, 6 minutes to go. And he lapped about 1 second faster than Niall Bradley as well. He's 7 seconds behind. There's probably 6 laps to go. So I don't think he's quite going to catch Bradley, but he's not going to be a million miles off, providing he can get past Rick Kerry.
Yeah, that's going to be the key. He's going to catch Kerry fairly shortly, you would imagine. There's Mike Cut, further 10 seconds back, set for quite a lonely race now, I think, in 4th position. And I noticed that his lap times have dropped off a bit ever since he had that spin. Possibly a sensible decision. Jim Benson comes through, number 59. Excuse me, in 12th position then, still leading in Class 6, isn't he? Ben Pearson, his nearest rival, is a couple of seconds further behind him, and these will be cars that will be going a lap down, actually, to the overall race leaders within the next couple of laps.
Yeah, absolutely right. So Jim Benson leading his class, and Wayne Lewis leading Class M2. Quite comfortably from Gary Burstow. There's about 9 or 10 seconds between the two of those. There is the 59 car of Benson then in that 330. Briefly, there was a 330 challenge that ran as a standalone series with the 750 Motor Club, but it's got absorbed along with the M3 Cup into BMW Car Club Racing Championship a few years ago. There is Benson putting a lap on Paul Laramie, who runs second now in the Cup class after the demise of Carl McMillan, who headed to the pit lane, by the way, after we saw his dramas at Beckett's. So Benson pushing on, and he is there in 12th place, just behind that 21 car of Andy Abrams.
Yes, and Rick Kerry has already lost second place to Brad Sheehan. I didn't see where it happened, but as they come through this time, the timing screen should update to show that Sheehan is in second, and the leader is really getting delayed here by some back markers going through Copse Corner, and this is exactly what Brad Sheehan wants to see. So he's 4 seconds back. There are 4 minutes to go, so 3 or 4 laps, depending on, probably they will get 4 laps in, won't they? If he can continue to close at a second a lap, he'll be there by the end, but that doesn't leave him any time to actually make a move on Niall Bradley. So Bradley might just have this covered as long as he doesn't start getting delayed even more by the slower runners. He's got to make every single one of these overtakes count now.
Yeah, he has. He's got Jim Benson to lap next as Niall Bradley, and Andy Abrams as well. So it gets a bit tougher as you go on, because the drivers that you're lapping get quicker and quicker, and I think you've got to play on 3 different laps here as well, which just makes life that bit more complicated as well. So he goes across the line now, does Bradley, and the gap is now 2.8 seconds, another 1.4 seconds taken out of Niall Bradley's lead that time by Brad Sheehan. So are we on the verge, Andy, of something very special? 2.8 seconds, there's probably 3 laps to go.
Well, I said he needed a second a lap and then a bit more, and he found a bit more there, didn't he? 1.4 seconds quicker, but now, of course, he has to deal with some of this Class 6 traffic. Well, the Class 6 leader, Jim Benson, and Andy Abrams behind him, who is in Class 2, but he gets past them pretty quickly there, coming out of Beckett's corner. Another lapped car there, the number 9 going down another lap to the leader. That's James Dalzell. And this is all getting a little bit tense now, isn't it, for race leader Niall Bradley, who might not have even spotted. Whoa, look at James Dalzell with some brilliant drifting skill there as he comes out of Luffield Corner. That's exactly what Brad Sheehan will not have wanted to see ahead of him, but Brad does get past him cleanly. Niall Bradley feeling the pressure now, isn't he? Let's see what the lap times are this time. It's a 102.4 for the leader and a 102.1 for Sheehan, so he only gets a few tenths of a second that time.
Yep, 2 minutes of the race to go. We're watching Jim Benson in 12th position in the Class 6 lead, but there is Brad Sheehan in that white car that has been rebuilt, not had time to put any more complicated or beautiful livery on it since that work has been done, but it stands out quite well as it is. As we watch the blue car of Jim Benson, 21 Andy Abrams now is challenging Jim Benson for position, although they're in different classes as they go through into Brooklands, and Abrams does go through in his Class M2 car into 12th position ahead of the Class 6 car of Jim Benson.
Rick Kerry, by the way, either has a problem or went off on the last lap, because he dropped down to 4th behind Mike Cutt and was about 6 or 7 seconds slower than he should have been. And no, he's dropped well back again on this lap, so I think there's an issue here for Rick Kerry. He's off the podium already, and he's really fading, and this lap is going to be another really slow one. And I can see out of the window he's just got no acceleration as he comes off Luffield, so it's going to be a slightly frustrating end to the race for Rick Kerry. He'll get to the flag, hopefully, but at a significantly reduced pace. He's about to come into shot into Cobb's corner. There's the 96 BMW 325 Ti of David Morris, who was up there in the Cup class, wasn't he? In fact, he is leading the Cup class from Paul Laramie by a few seconds at the moment. As we move into the closing stages of this race, Brad Sheehan then less than 2 seconds behind the leader. And are they going to squeeze one more lap in? They are, aren't they? That might be the lap that Sheehan needs to get right onto terms with Niall Bradley.
Yeah, I just think he's a little bit too far back. We're not seeing it on the screens at the moment. They're going past our commentary box window. The last lap board goes out. We're seeing them now. Here is Niall Bradley. He leads by 1.38 seconds. Sheehan found another half a second on that lap, but I think he's just too far behind. He might catch Bradley, but as Daryl, what we used to say, catching is one thing, passing is quite another. They've got to pass some back markers as well before they get to the end. Towards Maggots they go. There is number 47, Niall Bradley, looking to secure his second win of the day in the BMW Car Club Racing Championship. But if he doesn't manage to win it, and he deserves to, then the man behind him certainly does. Brad Sheehan, with those electrical problems in race 1, he started at the back of the grid. He started in 33rd out of 34 positions on the grid. He was halfway up the field by the end of lap 1. He's made relentless progress since then, but I don't think it's quite going to be enough. Niall Bradley turns his way through Luffield for the final time, just runs over the curb. He can see Sheehan in his mirrors, no doubt now. He comes up to the line. The checkered flag goes out now to Niall Bradley, who wins in the end round 2 of the BMW Car Club Racing Championship by a little over a second from...
Thank you very much, Ian. Again, Niall Bradley, another race win, 2 for 2 this time, with a huge smile on your face underneath that mask, but it wasn't made easy for you at the beginning of that race, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was a good old battle with Rick and Mike. Mike was coming thick and fast, and then whenever I see Mike then lose the back end coming onto the back straight, I was like, yes, thank God, it's breathing space. But no, I was very lucky there because Brad was coming in the distance, and to be honest, because Brad started off at the back, I kind of wrote him off. But then I seen his lights coming, I thought, shit, you better get going again. But yeah, brilliant race. It was good fun.
Well, we'll apologise for the language, but as you can imagine, it's a high emotions here down in the pit lane here at Silverstone. But yeah, no, a cracking race all the way through. It's been an amazing day for you, and I suspect an amazing weekend ahead. The car looking amazing still, but sounding quite poorly when it came in here.
It did, yeah. There's something not right going on up the front. But just before I go, I just want to say a massive thanks to Dave Rowe at EPS. Mapped the car for me, great map, great car, and also Michael Eustace at ME Auto Services, looks after the car, does everything on it, can't fault the car, absolutely on point.
Yeah, perfect stuff. Well, excellent result again, congratulations on another race win.
Cheers.
Perfect stuff there from Niall Bradley. Well, it's time for our final race of the day here at Silverstone. It's time for those Alfa Romeos.